Hey, welcome back to Art's Corner. Today we're going to be talking about Art's favorite subject, which is Internet of Things. Art is such a big fan of Internet of Things. He can go on it for days and days about how much he loves it. Right, Art?
Oh yeah, Mike. Yeah. Oh,
I'll tell a little story on Art. When this has been probably maybe 5 years ago now. Art came in and was talking about his thermostat and how this thing all of a sudden is connected to the internet and all the security issues. And he was flipping out. If you know Art, when he gets on a tangent, he'll get on a roll. And that was one of the first big issues we started seeing with the Internet of Things. But even really before that, and I'll let you tell that story because you get more emotional about it. But even before that, as in our law enforcement careers, we did a lot of cases involving digital evidence and child pornography type cases. And even got right before we retired, we started seeing where people were putting their images on things like their refrigerator, which you wouldn't think, no one would think to look for that for the images, but it's just another piece of where what type of information can hide or reside in different places where you don't even think to really look. And as someone who's involved with cybersecurity, if images can go there, so can threats. So Art, kind of give us your how much you love IoT.
So let's what the heck is IoT first, right, Mike?
That's right.
So IoT is Internet of Things, and here's the easiest way for me to explain it at 48 years old. Mike, when you and I were children, did our parents' refrigerator have the ability to connect to the internet, which wasn't even on our houses yet?
Not even close.
Not even close. That refrigerator was talking to nothing.
Nope.
We found out the refrigerator went bad when the ice melted, right?
That's right.
That's when we figured out the refrigerator went bad. The coffee pot did not talk to the home network because, first of all, the coffee pot couldn't, and we didn't have a home network. So IoT, the easiest way I think of it is we have taken a network connection and stuck it in a piece of equipment that traditionally did not have one. Example, coffee pots, toasters, refrigerators, baby webcams. Years ago, it was shortwave radio only. Now it goes across your own wireless network at your house. So we've got all these things that have our data on them, or it could be a vulnerability. And of course, my favorite one's got a few years age on this case, but my favorite one's Target. That hack occurred because of an air conditioner on top of the building. And here recently,
I was hit. Were you?
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had a couple car manufacturers. The ability for you to be able to communicate with all the devices in your car, Bluetooth through your cell phone or your watch, that's great. But what about vulnerabilities? And Mercedes-Benz just admitted, and they did it the right way, and I'll explain to you what that means, is some researchers found that some of the Mercedes-Benz series had some vulnerabilities because of this. Now, what forward-thinking companies do is when they get notified of a vulnerability, they address it, they send out patches, and then they tell the public and go, we had a problem, and we've squared it away, and if you have this make model of this device, here's how you fix it. Other companies have different ways of looking at it, which I don't agree with, which is, I'm going to give you $5,000 to never say another word about this again. That's wrong. You should be giving me $5,000 because I found that vulnerability. I'll agree to keep my mouth shut for a while, give you enough time to take care of this problem, then and release it. And that's what Mercedes-Benz did. And hats off to them for stepping up to the plate and going, hey, yep, we got an issue, but we're taking care of this right now. And we're always going to have that. So why is IoT something we're going to talk about when we're talking about medical stuff? Well, Mike, that IV pump in that hospital room? It's talking to that nurse's station, right?
Yep.
What's on that thing? It depends on the make and the model. What about the copier that's in your doctor's office? Does that thing have a hard drive in it? Does it have to be wiped? A lot of people don't realize a lot of these devices are actually storing this data. And we, as IT professionals, healthcare workers, we're still responsible for it. Even if it's on the IV pump or the lab equipment or the Xerox machine, anything along those lines, we're still responsible for it. And when we're talking about HIPAA particularly, we refer to, you may hear this term again, electronic protected health information. Its abbreviation is EPHI. And what that means is anything that can identify me as a patient and anything along those lines. Particularly, I don't care if everybody knows I'm on Flonase. I've got allergies. Welcome to Kentucky.
True.
But that's just me. But in reality, That's privileged information, the fact that I'm on Flonase, right? So we've got to worry about all these things, and people overlook this, not just in healthcare, but anywhere in business. There was a teapot that the username password was hard coded in it, and you hear us say constantly, change the default username password from whatever it is to a strong password. On that particular device, you couldn't change it if you wanted to. So that's the problem that we're looking at right now, and not just in healthcare, but anywhere in businesses. All these devices that are trying to make our lives easier, that's great, but there are security risks that go with it.
What about this? A lot of IT professionals, they understand what you're talking about. They understand the threats, but the CEO or the CFO or the head of HR is like, you know what? I like my coffee pot to where when I'm coming to work, I hit brew, and by the time I get to work, I have a coffee. My coffee's hot and ready to go there, and so they don't want to get rid of that. Is there anything you can talk to them about of how to approach it, or maybe some sort of maybe trick or hack to get them to understand that it's a problem I think probably most IT people feel in one way or the other throughout the years.
Absolutely. And this is what I've told my students, and this is what I tell other IT professionals, and this is the best way I can think of to explain it to somebody who wants to have that coffee pot. You having that cup of coffee ready for you when you get to your office, is it worth the risk of maybe losing your business or getting locked out or having something horrific happen to your network? When we're talking about business networks, you have got to convince me why you need that piece of software. It's like anything else. Why should we have it on our networks if we don't absolutely have to have it? Is it part of our business? No. Why would you have QuickTime? I like to pick on QuickTime because it's a dead product now. Why would you have QuickTime on there? Well, I like to be able to watch my this short little film. Is it work related? No, get it off of our machines. So that's the best way I can explain it to you. What is the risk versus the reward? Make your own cup of coffee. My Keurig, I hit the little button, it's good enough for me. And if that's good enough for me, I don't know why anybody else is worried about these types of things. There's a lot of IoT things that are justifiable in business and in healthcare that we have to worry about. Let's not add things to the mix here when we don't have to.
Exactly. What do you think about if the boss says I'm keeping it, documenting it to say you talked to them, you told them it's a risk, and it is what it is. You don't have the power to change it, but at least it's documented. Because in the end, if something does go wrong, it's going to be falling on the sword.
Yep.
And you talked about the Target hack. Person I know pretty closely actually was in a seminar, pretty close small group seminar, where the CIO came in, their CSO came in and was talking about all the things that happened. And what people don't understand, and what a lot of, I think, IT professionals don't think down the road is when things go wrong, it's in your lap.
That's right.
And so as bad as you're fighting for what you want, when they don't give you what you want, if something goes wrong, they're going to wonder why it went wrong. And he talked about all the different people who got fired, who got, basically had hard times. High-level CEOs at Target had or C-level people at Target who had hard times finding a job because their reputation was stained. And the same thing's going to go with any group. If they hear about your local company that got hacked and you're the IT person, it doesn't matter that the CEO wanted his coffee pot. If that's how they got in, it's still going to be your reputation.
Yep. And as IT professionals, we're responsible for everything on that network. I don't care what it is. You have to know what's on that network, know what its vulnerabilities are, and be able to justify that it's on there. Mike, you know how I feel about documentation. That's what I was going to suggest. This is what I've told my students.
You are a documentation Nazi.
That you got it. Hey, you send an email to the boss. You keep that sent email, even if the boss doesn't reply, and go, boss, I put that coffee pot at your request on the network. I don't recommend it, as we discussed, but I've done it. Now, maybe not phrase it that way, but when something bad goes sideways, get out of jail free card. Mike, we've seen executives get called in front of Congress. That is not a reason why I want to go to Washington, D.C. It's because you screwed up so bad they want to have a chat with you. That's not a good day.
Even if it's your local police department, even if it's your local FBI, Secret Service, it's not fun.
No. And then, the reputation, and you and I both seen it as officers, reputation to the business simply because of it. I mentioned to you once before in one of our other podcasts about a laptop that got stolen from somebody. He had to call all those people and say, your information with your name, date of birth, social security number has been stolen out of my laptop, out of my car. And he was just praying somebody was going to wipe it and sell it at a pawn shop.
Yeah.
And not realize the amount of data and the value of the data that's on the device itself.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, and it's not just the laptop; it's now our IoT.
So, Art, if someone wants to kind of sit down and talk to you, or give you email, whatever, to discuss IoT, or maybe they're having an issue with their administration, how they should handle the situation delicately without being too forceful, how will they get a hold of you to talk about those things?
Just call me at ISTT at 270-781-5096, or shoot me an email, and we'll be happy to talk to anybody and explain to them the threat of it. And sometimes it helps when you get an outside company, and Mike, you and I have seen this in investigations. The IT person was telling us one thing, and we agreed with them wholeheartedly. And before we walked out the door, what did we do, Mike? We looked at the boss and said, by the way, your guy's right. He's
100%
exactly
right.
What he told
Yep.
you. You should have been listening to him the whole time. So if somebody needs some positive reinforcement, or someone to agree with them, with their boss, and there's some services that ISTT can help provide to help shore those things up, we'd love to talk to them about it.
Excellent. All right, Art. Well, we'll catch you here next time.
All right. Thank you, sir. You have a great day.
You too.
All right.